3 years ago, and every once in a while, you sort of feel the presence, but I don't know whether that's just because your life and death are boundaries no one can escape. But what leaves the world in shock is the cruel contrast: the heroes once immortal on screen, the glamorous stars who once made audiences swoon, now trembling before old age and illness. Memories fading away due to dementia, bodies twisted by Parkinson's cancerous tumors, gnawing day by day. Some even face rare diseases that push them into unimaginable misery. Such fates leave audiences choked with sorrow and regret. And here are the legendary faces of Hollywood who are battling illness, awaiting the day to say their final goodbye. It may even be the very name you love the most. Clint Eastwood, the cowboy icon, sitting quietly by the Carmel shore. There was a time when mentioning Clint Eastwood meant invoking an immortal symbol of Hollywood. He was the legendary cowboy in The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly, the cold, commanding inspector and Dirty Harry roles that catapulted his name to the very peak of global fame. Clint was not only an actor, but also a gifted director, the proud owner of multiple prestigious Oscars. On screen, he embodied strength and grit, the masculine ideal adored by millions of fans. In those golden decades, people believed Clint Eastwood was truly the man who would never fall. Yet time and illness have made that immortal image painfully fragile. In May 2024, on the shore of Carmel, California, Clint was seen in a moment that left everyone stunned. No longer the towering cowboy, he sat motionless in an old wheelchair, frail and thin, his back-hunched eyes gazing distantly toward the foggy ocean horizon. At 95, Clint suffers from severe degenerative arthritis and muscle weakness, leaving him nearly unable to walk. Age-related cognitive decline has been even crueler, stripping away the memory of a man once sharp and brilliant. Some days he repeats the same small questions over and over, confused, when he cannot recall scenes that made him a legend. According to his family, Clint sometimes mutters the names of old characters, as if his mind is still trapped on those film sets. His trembling hands can no longer hold a glass of water firmly, and every step around the house requires support from his children or a nurse. Chronic joint pain torments him day and night, making even a full night's sleep a luxury. More heartbreaking still, the man once admired worldwide for his independence and toughness now lives entirely dependent on his family's care. Some have witnessed him sitting by the sea for more than 2 hours, occasionally closing his eyes as if searching in his fading memory for the thunder of gunfire, the roar of applause, or the dazzling lights of premieres long past. That image leaves anyone who sees it in tears. From a once unyielding screen icon, Clint Eastwood is now just a lonely old man, silent among the waves, as if sending his final farewell to the world. And from the moment Clint quietly faced the cruelty of time, the story takes us to another legend, Jack Nicholson, the man once hailed as Hollywood's kingpin, who is now gradually losing the most precious thing of all, his memory and himself. Jack Nicholson, Hollywood's kingpin who forgets even his own name. One of my heroes, I said, Jack. I said, 5 Easy Pieces, The Shining, Last Detail, Cardinal Knowledge, King of Marvin Gardens. He's sitting there and we're in this private plane, is humming and everything like this. And I'm like this young kid, and he looked at me and goes, like I've always said, kid, I don't make movies, I make classic. In film history, few have left as strong a mark as Jack Nicholson. He once sent shivers down the world's spine with his sinister smile, and The Shining conquered audiences with his defiant gaze in One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, and turned the Joker into an unforgettable icon in Batman 1989. Jack was not just an actor, he was the true kingpin of Hollywood, a man whose every line, every glance could captivate millions. His sharp wit, rebellious charm, and unmatched charisma were a brand no one could replace. But that brilliant glory has now faded into the past. In recent years, Jack has all but vanished from public life. His last appearance was at a Lakers basketball game in 2023. Amid the thunderous cheers, Jack suddenly leaned toward his assistant, whispering with a bewildered look, "Where are we?" Just that simple question was like a cold knife to fans' hearts, a chilling signal that Hollywood's legendary memory was slipping away. Now, in his Beverly Hills mansion, Jack lives in seclusion, battling dementia day by day. A close friend revealed some mornings he wakes up, looks in the mirror, and fails to recognize himself. Some days he calls his daughter by the wrong name. Other days he mutters old lines yet cannot recall the characters. The man who once commanded Hollywood now drifts in confusion, sometimes lucid, sometimes lost. The illness torments him both physically and mentally. He grows irritable, frustrated that he cannot express his thoughts fully, often sitting for hours, staring blankly into space. The once mischievous, razor-sharp eyes now appear vacant and lost. His family must arrange 24-hour nursing care guiding him through the house, reminding him to take medication, assisting with the smallest daily tasks. Friends are rarely allowed to visit, as even short conversations leave him exhausted. Seeing today's Jack Nicholson is heartbreaking. The once mighty kingpin of Hollywood, the star of countless award nights, is now but a frail shadow living quietly and wholly dependent on loved ones. The wit and sharpness that defined him have been replaced by chilling gaps of memory. And from the sorrowful image of Jack Nicholson, the great man betrayed by his memory, the story continues to another legend, Harrison Ford, who still clings to film sets, even as his body sounds alarm after alarm. Harrison Ford, Indiana Jones, who now needs a helping hand. In fans' hearts, Harrison Ford will forever be an immortal hero. From the roguish Han Solo in Star Wars to the fearless Indiana Jones, he engraved the image of a strong man defying danger, ready to risk his life for action scenes. Ford often performed his own stunts, leaping from trucks, fighting on train rooftops, racing through jungles. He made the world believe Indiana Jones could never fall, that Harrison Ford himself was the indestructible icon of adventure cinema. But behind that glory are the scars of decades. After years of action films, his body is nearly broken. Chronic shoulder injuries, repeatedly fractured ankles, a back so painful that even sitting too long makes him wince. Doctors prescribe heavy painkillers and intensive physical therapy, yet the pain persists relentlessly. Some nights he jolts awake as if stabbed by 1,000 needles. One afternoon in Santa Monica, ABC News cameras captured a moment that made many fans cry. Harrison leaving a therapy clinic back strapped with support braces, each step weighed down as though by lead. Every movement was an act of sheer will, his face twisted with pain. At his side, an assistant always steadied him, for even a slight misstep could send him crashing down. When a hopeful fan asked, "Will you return?" as Indiana Harrison managed a faint smile. But it was no longer the confident grin of old, just one shadowed by weariness. His reply in a hoarse, pained voice, "I won't abandon Indiana, but my body has abandoned me." Those words cut like a blade into fans' hearts, a confession of helplessness from a once immortal hero. Today, Harrison Ford can no longer adventure recklessly. He spends much of his time in hospitals and therapy rooms, locked in daily battles against physical agony. Doctors insist he drastically reduce activity, while loved ones must always be by his side. The cruelest truth of all, for a man who devoted his life to breathtaking action, watching his body betray him is the greatest tragedy. Harrison Ford, once an endless source of inspiration to audiences worldwide, now stands as a painful reminder that even heroes on screen cannot conquer time. And from Harrison Ford's painful struggle, the hero clinging on but helpless against illness, the story turns to another legend, Tom Hanks, who was forced to change his entire life after a doctor's chilling warning. Tom Hanks' stroke risk forces him to give up action roles. No one expected a gentle, kind-hearted man like Tom Hanks, Hollywood's nicest guy, to live under a doctor's warning of life and death. If you continue filming action scenes, you could collapse at any time from a stroke. This is the grim truth Hanks faces every day. Tom Hanks had long won audiences' hearts with unforgettable roles: the naive yet determined Forrest Gump, the castaway stranded on a deserted island in Castaway, the courageous captain in Captain Phillips. He was